Imagine you're trying to understand something complex about your data, maybe what factors influenced a set of observations, but the true answer looks like this messy multimodal distribution you see here, and you realize that working with this mathematically is going to be a nightmare. What if instead you could use something simple like this Gaussian that captures most of the important information? Well, this is exactly what variational inference lets us do. So the key question becomes, how do we find the best possible approximation? Let me show you why this problem matters in the first place. In machine learning and statistics, we often have observed data, which we'll call X, like images or measurements, and hidden or latent variables, which we'll call Z, that we can't directly observe but that influence our data. Things like the angle a photo was taken from or underlying factors in a medical diagnosis. Our goal is to figure out the posterior distribution P of Z given X, which tells us what values of Z are likely given what we observed, and Bayes' rule tells us this equals P of X given Z times P of Z divided by P of X. Here's where things get tricky though, because that denominator, P of X, requires us to integrate over all possible values of the latent variables. And when you have many dimensions, this integral becomes computationally impossible to solve. So here's the brilliant idea behind variational inference. Instead of computing the exact posterior, we'll approximate it with a simpler distribution Q of Z that we can actually work with. We choose Q from a family of simple distributions, like Gaussians or exponential distributions, whatever makes sense for our problem, and then we need to find the best Q that's as close as possible to the true posterior. The natural way to measure how close two probability distributions are is using something called the KL divergence. This KL divergence has some nice properties, like it's always greater than or equal to 0, and it only equals 0 when Q and P are exactly the same distribution. But wait, we have a problem again, because to compute the KL divergence, we still need P of Z given X, which is exactly what we couldn't compute in the first place. So it seems like we're back where we started. This is where the real magic happens, and we derive something called the evidence lower bound, or ELBO for short. And just a heads up, the following section is math heavy, but I'll walk you through it step by step, and trust me, it's more straightforward than it appears. We start with our KL divergence formula, which is the expectation under Q of log Q of Z divided by P of Z given X. And here's the key move. We use Bayes' rule to substitute P of Z given X with P of X and Z divided by P of X. When we make this substitution, we get the expectation under Q of log Q of Z times P of X divided by P of X and Z. Now, we apply the logarithm property that log of A times B over C equals log A plus log B minus log C, which gives us the expectation of log Q of Z plus log P of X minus log P of X and Z. Using the linearity of expectation, we can separate this into three expectations, and here's a crucial observation. Since P of X doesn't depend on Z, its expectation under Q is just log P of X itself. After rearranging these terms, we get this beautiful result. Log P of X equals the KL divergence plus this new quantity we call the ELBO, which equals the expectation under Q of log P of X and Z, minus the expectation under Q of log Q of Z. So the evidence represented by P of X is equal to the KL divergence plus the ELBO. The crucial insight is that since KL divergence is always non-negative, the ELBO is always less than or equal to log P of X, which is why it's called a lower bound. And here's the key. The ELBO only contains terms we can actually compute. We know P of X and Z from our model, and we control Q of Z, so we can evaluate this expression. And since log P of X is fixed for our data, maximizing the ELBO is exactly the same as minimizing the KL divergence. Now, watch what happens when we actually optimize our surrogate distribution. We start with a poor approximation, Maybe our Gaussian is in the wrong place with the wrong width, but as we adjust its parameters to maximize the ELBO, you can see it moving toward the true posterior, and the ELBO value increases while the KL divergence decreases. Even though our Gaussian can never perfectly match the complex multimodal distribution, it finds the best possible fit within its constraints, capturing the main mass of the distribution. And this is the beauty of variational inference. We've transformed an impossible integration problem into a straightforward optimization problem that we can solve with gradient descent or other standard techniques. And that basically wraps up our look at variational inference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.